Hello, welcome to this week's sketchbook tour. This week it's a sketchbook that I'm currently working on. It's not quite finished yet, so it might be a slightly shorter video. And so far it's filled with lots of gestures and lots of figures, human figures, that I've drawn without using a reference. Now that's kind of my main theme, my main goal this month is to really nail down the human figure. It's something I've been working on for years, but it's something that I've neglected a little bit, I suppose, especially with gestures and actually pushing myself to work on certain things that I'm not too comfortable drawing, as well as actually being able to draw very gestural figures without a reference, because I can draw the human body, let's say, without a reference, but they're usually very stilted, usually look a bit strange. So trying to get a little bit more natural when it comes to my more imaginative work. So yeah, let's get into it. That's enough blather. So like I say, it'll be a shorter video this week because I'm only about halfway through this book. But I felt it was nice to maybe share something a little bit more current. So all of these are me using a reference. It's the Croquet Cafe again with their sketch tool. So it's random images. I basically just put in the fact that I want full figures, like any gender, any, with props, that's all fine, but as long as it's a full figure, then I'll give myself 2 minutes to draw it. Now sometimes I'm finished before that, sometimes I need a few more seconds just to finish things off, although typically I don't bother doing that. And it's a quick exercise to refresh my mind more than anything, to sort of what goes where, the proportions of things on the human body, but most importantly those gestures that I was talking about, because like I said, it's not easy by any stretch to draw people in the right proportions without a reference, but I found it even harder to get a natural looking pose without a gesture, without a reference, sorry. So like I say, that's sort of the theme of this week, and this is the first page of non-reference people. Now lots of little mistakes but overall I'm pretty happy with where it's heading. It's a good sort of jumping off point. So trying to do a little bit more with the arms, but still look a little bit unnatural. So this must have been the next day, and again using that sketch tool. And there's loads of other websites you can use. You don't have to be Croquet Cafe. I do use other websites myself, but they've just got that tool that I find quite useful, and I pay for the annual fee of whatever it is. It's not much, so I might as well use it. But yeah, once I've got a little bit more comfortable, this is another page of no reference. As I was saying, once I get a little bit more comfortable, I'm then going to start adding clothes, because clothes are like another skill on top of actually drawing the figure. And I've started doing this mirror image type thing. And I'm going to start trying to rotate them as well, like with this. And again, it's these are never going to be like perfect, let's say, but there's little things. It's like I'm relatively happy with where this is heading, but little things like the head should be pointing down, when it comes to doing these mirror image type things. So little things I need to sort of remember to do. And then back to the to the drawings with reference. And again, these are very sketchy things, and for both sides of things, reference and no reference, both quite sketchy. And I don't spend too long on any of these. As I've said, like about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes more. And again, without reference. I think there is enough of a contrast to sort of realise which is which. But I'm slowly bridging that gap, I feel. And then again with the references. And when it comes to these, because I've only got between 1 minute and 3 minutes, I'm trying to think about a number of things. Mostly, at the minute, is the perspective and certain where to curve the line, because that can be a big indicator, because it's a 2D drawing but trying to give it a little bit more 3 dimensions. If that makes sense. So like little curves of the line to indicate, what's closer, what's further away. And also trying to incorporate certain things like chairs to indicate where the perspective is going, along with certain parts of the body. Things that I'm trying to get used to drawing, and it's not necessarily an alien concept to me, any of this stuff, but something that I don't typically think of when I'm just doodling. So I'm trying to incorporate that in there, and knowing some of that stuff can certainly help. When it comes to this, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to, like with this, the directions of the feet, let's say, or the hands, and also useful when doing poses, like knowing where the shoulders, where you stop seeing certain parts of the body, let's say. The curves when you bend in perspective. And then back to some drawings with reference. Well, like I say, I think the next step for me with these is going to be to add some clothes. So I might focus a little bit more on certain folds, the way that the sleeves contort and all of that sort of thing, certain drapes. Also useful shapes, I suppose. And but also I want to continue. I might do a page of nude gestures along with a page of no reference like this, and then start working on maybe trying to draw 20-25 figures with clothes next week. I also want to start working on some slightly bigger pieces, because I feel quite confined with the size of these pages when it comes to these sort of drawings. I'd like to experiment a little bit more with scale, I suppose, on that set. So yeah, that'll be maybe next week. So but on top of that, I also want to maybe focusing on certain body parts that I keep not quite remembering right, I suppose. So things like hands and legs, feet, but especially hands holding things. So this was me trying to draw people holding a phone. And sometimes I get away with it, but I am very much sort of just doing some mental gymnastics in my head, trying to remember what goes where, and not really managing it to the degree that I'd maybe like. But yeah, it's again, it's more for study purposes than anything else. Because when it comes to my comic, I do spend more time on that. I do labour a little bit more, and I do get those things right without worrying about, using a reference or not. But all of this study, these references, no references, do speed things along for me, and it does give me a little bit more confidence. So that's kind of the point of it. I'm not hoping to be, creating large scale pieces without using references, but it is useful to me to not have to rely on that, to have it be such a crutch. And also, it becomes more of your own thing. That's what I kind of admire with a lot of the artists that use these sort of skills, your Mobiuses, let's say, or Moebius, or however you say his name. So yeah, that's where I'm sort of at next week. More of the same, maybe with clothes, might focus on hands, and I'd like to do a couple of bigger scale versions of this, like a street scene potentially, but without the architecture. Also next week I'm potentially going to do some live streams. They'll be probably on YouTube. I might do some on Instagram, just to sort of test the water. I get questions quite often about things, so it might be a way to answer some of those, because I don't really see myself doing full-scale tutorials. I am very much a student in all of this, I feel. So yeah, but it might be a nice way to sort of answer a few questions, as well as show off some of the things, some of the techniques that I use that might be helpful or beneficial to someone else. And yeah, but I'll have more information on that on my Instagram and other social media places, your Twitters and Facebooks and all of that. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Lots of fun stuff coming on top of all of that I've just mentioned, including my comic. That's I've really rattled on with that this week as well. And yeah, I'll leave it there. That's enough rambling on, I suppose. So thanks for watching if you've made it this far, and as always, be good to yourself, be kind, and just have a chilled one. All right, I'll see you next week. Toodaloo.